Welcome, I'm registered psychotherapist practicing in Ontario, and we are continuing to discuss questions that you are asking me. And today we will be speaking about fear of failure and what you can do if you have certain fears and they make you to stop or to procrastinate. Have you ever avoided something that you actually wanted, not because you didn't care, but because you cared too much? You didn't start not because you were lazy, but because you were feeling unbearable. And today we are talking about the failure now, how it silently shapes your life. If this topic resonates with you, stay with me because by the end of this video, you will understand not only why fear of failure feels so intense, but also how to gently refrain and retrain your brain. If you are here now, don't forget to subscribe. We are talking here about motivation, self worth, emotional resilience, and psychological growth. Fear of failure is not just fear of making mistakes. Uh, it generally goes along with rejection, fear of rejection, shame, losing approval, confirming a negative belief about yourself. And you might have some thoughts such as, what if this proves I'm not enough? And failure becomes dangerous when it becomes personal. Instead of this attempt didn't work, it might become as I didn't work. And that shift from behavior to identity is where the pain begins. Because once you start to believe that you are a failure, it gets even more difficult to take action. When you consider doing something meaningful, applying for a promotion, starting a business, posting your work, your prefrontal cortex evaluates the long-term benefits, but amygdala scans for possible threats. And here is the key. For the brain, social rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. And your nervous system doesn't clearly distinguish between lion chasing me and people judging me. And when you are faced with criticism or harsh words, it's linked to humiliation or rejection, and your brain reacts as if survival is at stake, and avoidance becomes protection. Not weakness, but protection. I remember someone who wanted to apply for a leadership position, and she was competent, experienced, ready, but she kept postponing application. And when we explored deeper, she said something powerful. If I don't apply, I can still believe I could have gotten it. And as long as she didn't try, her potential remained untouched. And failure would not just be a rejection, it would be proof. So her brain chose safety over possibility, and this is extremely common. Sometimes not trying feels emotionally safer than risking visible failure. And where does fear of failure come from? Often, fear of failure is rooted in early experiences. It might be related with different beliefs about the person or about the world, or it can be driven by experiences people had in the past. For instance, if love, praise, or approval were conditional, if you succeeded, then you were valued. If you failed, you were disappointed. This then achievement becomes related to the self-worth, and perfectionism often grows from that soil. However, here is the paradox. The more you tie your value to success, the more terrifying failure becomes. So you either overwork or avoid entirely. And both of these are fear-driven. So you consider a meaningful action. After that, anxiety arises, and your brain predicts shame or rejection, and you start to avoid. And there is a short-term relief. However, in the long term, self-doubt grows, shame grows, disappointment grows, and avoidance reduces anxiety Temporarily, however, it reinforces the belief that failure is dangerous. And this process is called in psychology as negative reinforcement. You are teaching your brain that not being aware of it, that failure is dangerous. And your brain learns that avoiding keeps me safe, and this cycle strengthens and repeats. So, what you can do, uh, let's try to take 2 minutes and ask yourself what's one thing you are currently avoiding, and if you failed at this, what would it mean about you? Write the answers honestly and not what sounds major but what feels true. Would it mean that you are not smart enough, you are not talented, that you are behind everyone else, or you will feel embarrassed? And try to ask more questions. Who first taught you that failure equals worthlessness? And this awareness might help to soften the fear. And what would you like to tell to your friend if they were having the same thoughts about themselves? And seeing it from this perspective can help to create healthier uh, perspectives, help you to see your situation from healthier perspectives. Now let's move into change. First of all, it's important to separate identity from outcome. Instead of thinking I failed, try this strategy didn't work and you are not your results. So redefining failure as data can help to faster adapt and find other strategies. Every successful person have failed in their lives. Uh, for instance, we see more outcomes, but we don't see iterations and how they achieved this success. If you research people, the lives of most successful people, you will find a lot of failure. And doing small visible actions that carry lower levels of risk can help to slowly teach your brain that there is nothing dangerous in starting certain things or failing sometimes. For instance, sharing something imperfect, speaking even even when you feel sad or anxious, and applying even if unsure, speaking even if your voice shakes, can be some strategies that you can start doing and teaching your brain that performance doesn't have to be perfect. Confidence is built through exposure, not waiting. And increasing self compassion can help to reduce cortisol and increase resilience. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Uh, trying to understand yourself and understanding that these experiences can be uncomfortable and that's okay to have these feelings can help to develop self compassion towards yourself. Because fear shrinks in acceptance, and once you accept your feelings, once you understand your thoughts, anxiety and other uncomfortable feelings would decrease. So instead of asking what if I fail, try to ask what if avoiding costs me more, or what if I succeed, because most of our thoughts are generally negative and we are focusing on the worst case scenarios. However, there might be positive outcomes as well. Over time, the regret of not trying also becomes heavier than the pain of failing. Sometimes fear of failure is not about failing, it's about being seen, and visibility feels vulnerable. When visibility feels vulnerable, and when you try, people can judge. When you hide, you stay safe but small. And growth requires visibility, and development requires going through uncomfortable feelings. And you cannot expand without being seen. And when fear is deeper, if fear of failure is tied to trauma, harsh parenting, chronic criticism, or long-term shame patterns, working through it alone can feel overwhelming. In these cases, psychotherapy can help untangle identity from performance and rebuild safety in action. So you don't have to fight fear alone. Failure is not the opposite of success. Avoidance is, and failure means you tried. Avoidance means fear has decided. If this video helped you to see fear differently, subscribe to my channel, and you are always welcome to leave your questions in the comments. What's one action that you've been postponing because of fear? In this next video, we'll explore something related with imposter syndrome, why success sometimes feels more threatening than failure. And if you want to listen to this video, don't forget to subscribe and continue to listen to my videos.